Welcome everybody to our Wisdom Circle. This is one of the gifts that I am offering during the March of 2024 in the Luminosa Playground. We are celebrating our 5-year anniversary of my free Facebook group. If you are somehow watching this recording but aren't yet in the Luminosa Playground, then go to luminosaplayground.com and you can request to join, and we would love to have you in there. So what we've done is we've gathered all these beautiful people who are interested in connecting even deeper to that higher source of wisdom that is available to all of us all of the time. And I want to explain how this is going to go. I'm going to give us a brief intro. We've checked in on where people are from. We've got people from all over the States. We've got Canada. I know that we've got people from outside of this continent who are going to be watching it later. So we really span the globe, which is such a beautiful thing. So I'll do a little bit of introduction, then I'm going to explain the process so that and make sure that you understand the 5 steps of the process. Then we're going to go through this process for tapping into your higher wisdom together and see what comes out. We'll spend 15 minutes writing. And if there's something that you feel like you want to share, there's going to be space to be able to share that. And if it feels like, no, this is actually just for me, or this feels too tender, or I'm not ready, or anything like that, then that is completely fine. There's never going to be any pressure whatsoever. Those who are watching the recording, I want you to know that there really is no such thing as space and time when it comes to spirituality. So you are here with us. You are part of this community. You are welcome. And I'm really thrilled that you're here. Please interact in your mind, do the things just as if you were live, go through the process just as if you were live to get the biggest benefit from being here. All right. So by way of introduction, I now will openly, comfortably say I have conversations with God most days of my life. It took me a while to get here. First of all, I had a lot of misconceptions about the word God because people use the word God in a lot of different ways, and God has been used in some religions to kind of beat people into submission in some manner, shape, or form, and to create a sense of fear in people. And of course, wars have been fought in God's name and everything else. But I finally came to understand that as I was developing my own connection with, at that time, I just would call this energy universe, and I still will call it universe, but God feels more personal to me. At the time, I was, continuing to call it universe and everything, but developing this connection. And then I started to understand, just because the name God has gotten sullied by the people who have used it doesn't mean that it's actually a reflection of a sullied God, right? So God gets to be whoever we each think of God as being, whether we think of it as male, female, whatever. But from my perspective, God is pure love. God is not waiting to judge us in some manner, shape, or form at the end of our life. God is not counting our sins and, waiting for judgment day. This is my idea of God. So when I say the word God, I want you to substitute whatever word works for you: higher wisdom, source, universe, divine, infinite intelligence. If the word God works for you, claim it. Make that word your own. Clean it off so that energetically it can be your word without all of the extra stuff that comes with it. So I'll walk us through, explain this process. What I want to say before I say that is that I believe that we all are aspects of the divine, that we are God-godding, that we have this, that the truth of who we are is this higher energy, and that we happen to be navigating space and time in this earth suit. And we came into this earth suit, and then we forgot who we were. We forgot the truth of who we are, and then we get caught up in all of the things here on earth, thinking that this body is all that I am. And when we are trapped in the idea that we are this body, we believe that I am separate from each one of you because I'm looking through the body's eyes that tell me I am separate from each one of you. And that introduces all kinds of layers of who's guilty, who's innocent, who's better, who's worse, who's, all the judgment and everything else. That's where we get in hot water. And so what I have come to understand over the years of my own evolution of my relationship with God is that the more that I can be in tune with this higher wisdom to guide me in each and every one of my choices, in each and every one of my days, the better my days are. The more I bring that energy of pure love and extend it to earth, the more I can step into the shoes of the remembering that I am an idea in the mind of God. I am basically God godding. You are God godding. I am no better than any of you. I am no worse than any of you. We are all one, and we are all these individuations of God. So if you think of God, universe, source, infinite intelligence as the sun, we are like sunbeams to the sun. So it's like an individuation, but of the same stuff. And what, my main spiritual path is A Course in Miracles. And what A Course in Miracles teaches us is that there is no difference between us and God, except that God made us and we didn't make God. But that when we can remember the full truth of who we really are, we have the power of God within us. We could walk the earth as Jesus walked the earth. We could heal people. We could raise people from the dead. We could all of these things if we understood the truth of who we are. So Jesus understood the truth of who he was. We get a little lost in this idea of a very limited self. So whether you agree with everything that I've said, I hope that what you do agree with is that there is a higher source of infinite intelligence that wants to move through you, and that when you can tap into that, your life is a lot easier. Your life goes a lot smoother. So we want to open this channel, and it's effectively learning. It's like learning a different language. It's God speak, it's love speak. It is the language that might come to us through a song on the radio. It might come to us as a booming voice, but for me, that's not the way that it happens. It might come through a song on the radio. It might come through an imagination that we have, like something that we create, a song that we create. It might come to us when we're looking at a child who's in trouble, and we know exactly the words to say and how to bring compassion to that person. God, love, source comes to us in a variety of ways. And the more that we can clear up and clean up that channel between us and that loving energy, the more that we won't get caught up in this fear-based energy, and the more that we will bring that loving presence to earth. So what we're going to do today is go through this process that I do on a daily basis. I'm actually modifying it a bit now. And what I'm going to be sharing with you today is my new modified process. But generally, what I have been doing for many years now is that I read my lesson from A Course in Miracles for the day, because that gets me into that spirit-minded, spiritual sense of things. For example, the lesson the other day was the light has come. And so I will kind of say that again and again. And then I will meditate for 20 minutes. I set my timer on my phone. And then I will open my journal and I'll say, God, what would you have me know today? What would you have me say today? And what would you have me do today? And I'll see what will come through. Now, I'm going to teach you a different process today, because first of all, we're not going to take the time to do that meditation together. I'm going to show you where in the process I would do the meditation, but I want you to know that you don't need to have time to do all of these pieces, the meditation and the journaling. Even if all you have time for is this journaling, we'll call it automatic writing. What we're looking for is to channel God, to channel higher wisdom, to channel whatever we want to call it. So I'd love for you guys to write in the chat, what do you want to call this higher wisdom that you're going to be tapping into? Are you going to be thinking of it as God? Are you going to think of it as angels and guides? Are you going to think of it as higher self? What's it going to be for you today? Awesome. Hey, Shamika, I didn't see. Oh, there you are. Hi. God, higher power. Awesome. Beautiful. God. Okay, lots of gods. Okay, so I have this process. The more that I do this process, the more that I feel attuned to And what's the word I want? It's not exactly blown away by, but it is kind of blown away by. Like, I'll have these things that come out, my pen in my hand, and I'll look back on it afterwards and I'll be like, who said that? Who said that? Like, that's amazing. Like, that feels so much like something higher than me coming through. And I would love for us all to, as best we can, get out of the idea of, well, is this really God? You know, prove it to me. Like, this energy of, I'm making it up. This can't be real. God doesn't really want to talk to me. Can we just put that aside for a moment to clear up the energy? Because God wants to talk to us all of the time, but just requires our free will, because love doesn't force itself. And so if we haven't actively said, please, what would you have me do now? What would you have me say now? Then we might get like an intuition or whatever, but it's not going to come in as fully. The more that we open this channel and say, yeah, I'm ready, I'm willing, please fill me in, the more that messaging can come through. So I want to share with you guys something that came through for me today, that I then felt, you know, a lot of times I am not drawn to share it, but today I was drawn to share it. And so this is what I wrote today. God keeps asking me to go deeper. Every day I talk to God, aka universe, spirit, source. I used to feel weird about saying that, but hey, I can't keep having these cool conversations and not shout them to the rooftops. I believe that's what God wants for each of us, to connect with him, her, it, to know the light that we are, so we can better be that light and help others to be it too. Today, what came through is, the problem is that you do not believe you are me and that you have the power of me moving through you. The flicker comes and goes. You tap into it, then you tap out. That flicker is a flame that is more you than anything else. The sneakers you choose, the decisions you make, the motherhood, the house, the moods, all of it. The only true you is that part, the flame that is one with me. And yet, you still believe that mountain of things on your to-do list, chasing your tail, will lead to some sort of salvation. You came as God dressed up in sheep's clothing. Then believe that you are the sheep. You are not the sheep. None of you are. I love you, XOXO God. And God always signs up for me with XOXO God. And so, to be really clear, because this question comes up a lot, what does it feel like when that is coming through? Is it another voice? You know, for some people, it is another voice. There are different ways that people channel. For me, it comes through in my voice. It doesn't seem like a separate entity, but it's words that were nowhere near my mind. It's words that I would not, like this thing about the, you came as God dressed up in sheep's clothing. I mean, there was no part of me that was like constructing that, right? It just came through like that. And so the more that you get out of your own way and just let your pen move across the page when it comes to that time, just trust that you're going to get clearer and clearer as you practice this. This is a practice. This is a new thing that you're learning how to do. Most of us, some of you might already have a channeling practice of some sort. So do you have any questions before I move on to explaining the process? No? Okay. All right. Awesome. I'm just going to look at my notes and make sure that I am not forgetting anything that I wanted to make sure that I said. No? Okay. Okay, so I'm going to explain the process now so that you're clear about the process, and then we're going to do the process. So you don't have to do these things yet. So step one is to center and to drop into your heart. So when we do this, and you can practice it if you want to, but we are going to redo it. You're going to close your eyes and put your hands on your heart, and you're going to take 3 deep breaths, feeling your energy move from your head down into your heart with each breath. So this is how we center ourselves and drop into our heart. That's step one. Step two is going to be to anchor into the light. Our brains are going in a million different directions during the day. There are so many things that invite us to fear and to limited thinking and to a conditioned kind of mind, limited, very, very limited. We go to worry, fear, anger, anxiety, doubt, all of that, resentments, grudges, judgments. So when we center, we like pull ourselves into ourselves, letting go of everything else. And then this anchoring into the light is we actually talk to love, and we say, love, you could say angels and guides, you could say God, but I say, love, please ground my energy down into the sweet depths of earth. And so I will say that, and then you guys will repeat after me. And then, love, please open my channel with God or my higher wisdom or any being of the light that wants to come through. You guys choose how you're going to say that. I will say God, but you can say any of those things or something different. And then, love, please purify my energy body and clear away any energy that is not of the light and release it through coughing or yawning. When I started doing this, I was actually really surprised that I actually would start coughing and yawning. So you'll be surprised what might happen, might not, don't need to force it. And then you just chant to yourself, love only love, love only love. And then you pick up your pen and have your journal ready and say, God, or whatever you're going to call this, what would you have me know right now? And then I'll set the timer for 15 minutes. And you're just going to let your pen move across the page. And if nothing is coming to your mind, you're going to keep your pen moving and just say, I don't know what to say now, because keeping it in motion will keep the fluidity going so that maybe the next thing that wants to come through will be able to come through, and suddenly you'll be writing different words. There is no way to do this wrong. How much is going to come through today is going to be dependent on whether you've done this before, what kind of state you're in, how much practice you might need. There is no shame, no matter what happens with this process. I will be very clear that if there is anything that comes out of your pen that is not of the light, it is not God. So if there's something that comes out that sounds like you're better than somebody, or somebody's better than you, or like you're a jerk because you did something, that's not God. And then just center yourself back on love and say, love only love, love only love. It's going to take some practice to tune into what is that truest voice of our higher wisdom. And it is never, never a fear-based voice or anything that would make you feel bad. Okay, so let me just see how you guys are doing. Do you have any questions? Is this making sense? Give me a thumbs up if it's making sense. Excellent. Excellent. Cindy, I'm going to walk you through the steps written out, so I'm not going to list them right here. Yeah. Okay. Michelle says it keeps sticking. I can't hear everything. Are other people able to hear me well? Thumbs up? Yeah. Okay. So Michelle, that must be your connection, which is good news for me, but bad news for you. I'm sorry about that. Okay. Let's begin. So let's center and drop into our hearts. I invite you to close your eyes, to put your hands on your heart, and to take 3 deep, intentional breaths, feeling your energy move from your head into your heart with each breath. And now repeat after me with your eyes still closed. Love, please ground my energy into the sweet depths of the earth. Love, please open my channel with God. Love, please purify my energy body and clear away any energy that is not of the light. Love, please release this energy through coughing or yawning. Love only love. Love only love. And pick up your pen and say, God, universe, source, what would you have me know right now? And just keep writing. And if you start to get distracted, come back to love only love. All right. This is the opportunity for anybody who wants to share. You can share it by typing it if you'd like to. You can share it by just raising your hand and saying that you'd like to share. Whatever would feel good for you. Please do not worry about comparisonitis with anybody else. This voice is going to speak differently to each of us because we will hear it differently. We need to hear different words to activate us. That's something we talked about the other day in the light year, and we had a conversation, and I was sharing that at the beginning of one of my conversations with God just the other day, what was coming out, I was like, only love, only love, only love. And what was coming out was, you need to let that ego have its conversation with you. Like, you need to interview the ego. So don't believe that you are the ego in those words that are coming through, but go ahead and interview the ego. Like, ego, okay, what is it that you want to say? Because sometimes it's percolating, it's in there, and it's like, this is not about like shoving down the uncomfortable things. It's creating a container and a space so that you're understanding that you're inviting God to help you look at this differently, but you might need let the stuff to come up and out. So I'm really glad that you mentioned that. It didn't occur to me to say that in this call, and it's actually perfect that you did. And I feel like that was very guided and perfect. So thank you. Thanks for being so open to it. And I love how it came through like that voice that was like, see, I know you need repetition. There's these different ways that, there's a sense of humor that comes through for me sometimes that God's sense of humor matches the way that I would hear his sense of humor. It's like, it develops more and more as that connection of a two-way street. Like, see, I know what you need. That's good. Yeah, really cool. Amazing. And, going through caring for her parents who are ailing, and there's a lot of things going on in Karen's life right now. And other people might have the same thing going on. So it bears mentioning to everybody that it's very natural that in our human experience, when there's a lot going on, it's harder for us to remember and turn ourselves toward the light, because this shadowy fear-based stuff is so gripping. It's so convincing. It's like, you start to turn toward the light a little bit. It's like, no, did you think about this? Did you think about that? Did you think about this? Like, it's going to have an endless supply of things to keep you busy and focused on the shadow. And if you wait until there's time, according to the ego, for you to turn toward the light, it's not going to happen because the ego wants to keep you busy facing the shadow. So I really want to applaud everybody for being here, that no matter what's going on in your life, included here, that you made the time to be here. This is saying, I care, God, I'm open, I want to hear from you. And then the thing will be to follow up and to try to carve out, even if it's 5 minutes a day that you do this, try to make it 15 minutes, but like, even if it's 5, just start somewhere and start making this a daily date with God, a daily date with your higher self. Yeah, that's a lot of wisdom that came through there. I enjoyed your words. I'm not a reflection of others' opinions. Yes. Yeah. When we did our mentoring magic call last week, that was one of the topics that came up, is I get caught up in other people's opinions of me, and it makes it hard for me to move forward. And I know logically that that shouldn't happen, but getting into my heart and my body experience is a different story. So that is something that many of us have in common. I'm glad you gave voice to that. Yeah. So having that confirmation come through. And I think also this additional, like the reading it out loud piece, this is one of the parts that's new to me. And I feel like that, I mean, it's beautiful to read it here in Sacred Circle. I love that we each get to witness each other if we want to be witnessed. But even just reading it out loud to ourselves is like even more like, this is this message that's for me. And it feels, I don't know, every single one of these messages could be said to all of us, right? This is that energy of love, and what it would say, like, shine and don't be afraid. And, you deserve the love. And all of these, yeah, all of these messages are so beautiful. Thank you for sharing. Oh, thanks for sharing that. That line of the darkness knocking at your soul really struck me too. I was like, wow,
Yeah.
where did that come from? Well, we all know where that came from, but how cool, like,
Yeah.
when those phrases come through that just don't feel like at all that they are your phrase.
Yes. Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah, this is a beautiful reminder to just for everybody to just have grace with ourselves. Like all of these messages are really about grace with ourselves, compassion with ourselves, and that it's a journey. We've spent decades with a very fear-based paradigm being conditioned into our brain, and a lot of questions about our okayness in the world, which have been passed down to us by people unwittingly who had the same questions. Not that anybody was trying to be mean to us, but we've had a lot of indoctrination into a very disempowered way of seeing the world. And it's going to take some time and patience and layers of uncovering to be able to really excavate that light that's in there. So thank you. Beautiful message. And I'm glad that you mentioned the thing about that you asked the follow-on question. So, we kind of get the pen flowing with the question of what is it, what do you want me to know? But you can absolutely go in different directions. So Shamika said, what is your purpose for my life? You can be guided, just have a conversation back and forth. And so it might be, what is it that you'd have me do today? What is it that you would have me say today? It could be, in regards to this situation, like I was making a decision recently about whether to go, there's an opportunity for me to go to Tahiti with Mike Dooley and his crowd. And so I did some journaling about it. And as I dropped in deeper and deeper, I asked that question. And so I got a lot of clarity around that. So don't be shy about making that a two-way street. And speaking of which, also consider the possibility that you're just out and about in your day-to-day life, that you stop for a moment and you say, God, what would you have me know now? Like, where would you have me go now? What would you have me say now? Or you could say, love, please guide me to the next right action. You can also talk to the wind. If the wind caresses your face, the wind is an element that is also of God. Wind, do you have a message for me? You feel the sun on your face. Sun, do you have a message for me? Always be listening, making space for the listening, and not so caught up in the infernal to-dos that you miss all of what's possible around you. I like the setting the timer for 15 minutes, because sometimes I will just write until it feels like I'm done. And I wonder sometimes if maybe that shortcuts the process, that there might be more in there when, if we set the timer for at least 15 minutes, there's sort of more space to get into that frame of reference. So this is what came through for me. Know how deeply, widely, infinitely you are loved. There is no doubt ever, never any doubt as to your worthiness, your strength, or your okayness. Your strength is mine, the power to move more than mountains, the ease to purify any stream, the love to cure any heart, the hands to heal anyone you touch. You're playing a small game there, my daughter. You are on a board, like a game board, the size of a peanut compared to the vast universe of possibilities. You are seeing it more now, feeling it more now, a twinkling in your eye, a special something in your trust, a sparkle light I can't look away from. You're doing it. You're trusting and growing and trading up that game board for bigger ones with expanded possibilities. And you have only begun to scratch the surface. And then, be at ease, young Padawan. You're just getting started, and I am right here by your side. I love that. I want you to breathe more, to bend your body more, to listen to the birds more, and to know and feel the complete soulful recognition of the people in your worlds. I want you to take care of the small things that leak your energy and limit our playing field, because we've got so much to do together, so much life to explore, so much healing, so much to bring. You are a way shower. You are a bridge. You are the connector between the real, authentic life of a seemingly stay-at-home mom and the real, authentic, bold, bright, beautiful spirit that lives in you no matter what your surroundings. Your surroundings don't limit you. Only you do. Your thoughts about them limit you. But by the same token, there is so much out there in the world available to expand you. So yes, see the world. I want to see the world through your eyes. Be the way shower. Don't dilly, don't dally, don't frolic in the shadows. Stand and deliver what you know to be true from the rooftops. Yes, indeed, from the rooftops. I love you, XOXO God. All right, let's see if there's any last thoughts that I want to share with you guys. We talked about the importance of practicing this. This is a practice that you just get clearer and clearer as you go, and it starts to become part of your daily life and throughout your day. And suddenly that thing that I can't, for me, just, it's not exactly another voice, but it's another knowing. I find it drops into my day throughout the day more and more often. So remember that you're developing a fluency with the new mode of communication, and that takes time and practice. And then the other thing is trust. So trust that you might feel odd sometimes. You might wonder if you're making it up. You might wonder all kinds of things, but just trust that if it sounds like love, it is love moving through you, and love comes from God. So whether it's your imagination, quote unquote, or not, imagination is one of the ways that God speaks to us, right? Where does imagination come from? That also comes from God. So even if it's made up, quote unquote, it's still God. Listen for all of the ways God speaks to you. Pay attention to, the song that comes on at the exact right moment, the person who just happens to offer the exact right resource that you need at a particular space and time, the card pull that you get, in the Luminosa playground on Friday mornings that just speaks to your soul. Anything, everything, listen for all the ways that God speaks to you. A Facebook post that says this, somebody here who read something and you were like, oh, that message was for me too. And a reminder to tune in, that if you feel the sun on your skin or on the wind on your cheek, ask what it wants you to know. And yeah, So I would love to know before we finish up today, if you have any takeaways that you want to share from this experience. And if you're going to carry this forward as a practice, is this something that feels like, ooh, yeah, this is for me. I want to do this more, or this has helped me to deepen my practice, or anything like that? I would love to know. Feel free to raise your hand and I will call on you, or you can write in the comments. All right. So I am Ellie Bassick-Trovato, as you guys probably figured out by this point. I never did say that at the beginning. I'm a women's empowerment coach and a spiritual mentor, and I guide people through A Course in Miracles, which is a profound daily practice. If you want information about that, reach out and let me know. And I also have a year-long program where we go deep and wide in all kinds of aspects of your life. And if that feels like it's something it might call to you to continue to have the opportunity to be in this kind of energy and what that might do for your world and your relationships and your emotions, it shifts everything, literally everything. The Light Year is an extraordinary program. So reach out if that's something that you want to talk about, or if you want to find out what else I've got going on, then please reach out and let me know that too. You can contact me, Ellie, ELLIE, at thenewbrave.com. ELLIE at thenewbrave.com. And by the way, add Ellie at thenewbrave.com to your contact list in case I reach out to you, so that it won't land in spam. Jones, takeaway, God made this very personal to me. Beautiful. I am sending you all so much love, so much appreciation for you taking the time to be here today. Carrie, my love has expanded for each of you. Incredible time. Maya, thanks for inviting me to be part of this sharing. I'm so glad. So glad you were here. Mwah. Lots of love to everybody. Bye.